All right, so somebody asked me if I could make a wallet for him. So just basically using this as as a template. I guess I can do whatever I want, just for it to be just kind of similar to this. I like to mix up things too every now and then when I make stuff. So I've been making knives for a little bit, so this is kind of nice. Just a change. I'm gonna redo this, but I'm gonna do some changes. I'll go over it right now. I already have like the template cut out and stuff. I measured it out. It's gonna be a little bit wider, a little bit taller, just because the thread I use is a lot thicker than this thread. It's gonna be hand sewn also, so I can't really go to these, like crazy close to the edge kind of sewing. All right, so just to start it off, this is going to be in this design. So here it is, it's represented with these. It's a weird, this is so this little section here, all these pieces represent this. So that's what's going to be done. It is going to have this little flap on the inside. It's not going to have any cloth. This other one also has like this little flap on the inside. I'm going to redo this. This represents that, but it's not going to have any plastic or whatever. So it's just going to be just straight up leather. This is all going to be kangaroo leather. It's going to be black still. Same thing. It's going to have a little flap on the inside. So I am going to sew it around, and then just not this side for that part. And then this one, I'm just gonna delete this completely. This is and then this has like a little like snap button kind of thing, which had two placeholders for it, two little areas so you can squeeze it closer. This to me does not make sense where it's at. This was sewn here, you can tell, and because it was sewn there, this pocket and this pocket are, you can't use them for cards. So it tells me the person wasn't really using this at all for that. This does have like a little pocket here. I'm gonna delete that too. I'll show you in a second what I'm gonna do. If I were to put this here, eventually the same thing would happen. It would either rip this, but since I'm using Kangaroo, well, the material I'm using is like superb, so it would basically just stretch it. It would stretch the leather. So that's all it would do, just with use, and it would just look ugly. It does have a little zipper here, and with a little flap. So they do want this little change purse thing here. So what I'm gonna do is, so this is gonna be the same. This last piece is gonna be this guy here. And this is gonna be basically a zipper. So for the last piece, it's gonna be a zipper. And the way it's gonna work, this is gonna be sewn all around except, see this line here? Up until that point. And we should be able to open it like this, unzip it, zip it, whatever, open it, and that should be fine. It's gonna look the same as the other ones in terms of width. So yeah, okay. So now that I have these paper templates, I'm gonna cut them out in the leather, and then I'm start sewing them. Okay, so here's all the pieces cut up. Here's the paper versions, and then here's the leather versions. So now I just gotta sew them all up, but I have to figure out a way of, when I sew them, each one of these sections is here, basically. So I have to sew a little bit of this individually, and then sew it to this, and then leave there's gonna be main sewing that's gonna sew all the pieces together, which is gonna be like an L shape here, a little area here, and then an all L shape there. So I have to leave those open, and then sew those parts afterwards. I'll show you that. All the interior ones are gonna be blue, interior sewing. The outside is going to be black. So yeah, I'll show you that. So what I'm doing right now is I'm doing each section by itself. So this is the first one. And now what I got to do is I have to glue this on here. And I'm only going to be able to sew this piece here. So from here to here. And then I have to leave everything else by itself, because that's going to be sewed in with other sections, with other pieces of leather that I can't do right now. So I'll show you when this is done, and then I'm gonna go to the next section and the next section. All right, so I got the ID one already, and this one I already showed you. Next up is this guy, and I already messed up. All right, so I haven't done wallets in a while. Where I messed up is basically, so this is the interior right here. And the outside has to be longer than the interior. I should have added like, not quite a half an inch, but I should have added at least like a quarter of an inch more. So then when it does fold, the outside actually wraps around everything. We'll deal with that problem when we get there. What I'm gonna do is basically make everything a little bit closer, because each part has a little bit more than 3/4 of a gap. I think it's like 3/4 of a gap each little section, and I'm just gonna make everything a little bit closer for that. What I'm gonna do now, so I have to sew the zipper on here, but the zipper is actually longer than what I need. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it and shorten it. And already took off one of the pieces, but what I'm doing, and I'm sure there's tools for this, is I'm gonna poke this thing here. This is like a little stopper. So I'm gonna put the little stopper where I want it to stop. And what I'm doing is I'm using this here, what is this? Super Tool 200, and it has this little awl, I guess it would be called an awl. And I'm putting it in between here. And I don't know if I can just do it just straight up now. And I'm putting it in between. And just, yeah, that's not gonna work. So you get the idea. I'll show you once it's in there. And I'm not afraid of, like, I'm gonna stab myself. But yeah, I'll show you that in a second. All right, so here it is detached. I'm gonna put it here on a little piece of tape. And these teeth just come off. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut it to where I want it, and then take off the teeth that I need to take off, and then put those little stops at the height I need. So these little teeth, let's see if I can actually get one off on camera. Like I said, I'm sure there's tools or whatever for this. And they're actually really, really on there. And once you take them off, they're like destroyed, basically. Okay. Alrighty. Bastard. Alright, 1 second. Why is it so hard? I gotta practice on these outer ones. There we go. All right, so now that that's sewn up, what I'm gonna do is I have to sew this part first, but I'm not gonna sew it all the way to the edges. It's just gonna be a little bit, probably like a 1/4 inch away, because the sewing on the edges is gonna be about 1/8 of an inch. So just a little bit further away. The way this is gonna work is like this. I already have it marked here where I have to like scratch it and glue it. So it's gonna go like this. It's gonna fold like that. And then this is supposed to be the same width as the other squares. And then it's just gonna look like this. And then when you wanna open it, you go like that. And then you unzip it and you put stuff in. All right, so now I'm gonna sew that. And then after that, I'm gonna sew the top, and then I'm gonna start sewing like the main parts. Oh, so I gotta sew this next. And there's a sequence to the sewing. I messed up like really bad right there. Hideous. Whatever. So I'm gonna sew this to this piece here. And the last piece will be this guy in the back. And once I put this guy in the back, I have to sew this, all this, and this piece, and this L over here to the one in the back. So there's a sequence to it. I have to sew this part here, but leave this here. And the thing is, see where the stitching goes all the way down to there? I'm gonna have to use this, I guess you would call it an awl, to poke it through. I can't just punch it through like I will the rest of the holes. I'm going to use these to re-punch the holes. But I can't use this. I have to use this where they're sewing so I don't damage the thread itself. All right, so I'm going to sew this, and then I'm going to sew this guy. And once I sew this guy, this will give me the measurement for this area here. So I'll show you that in the end. All right, let me show you this real quick. So this hole here in the back is not there yet. And the reason is because if I use the punching tool, to punch holes in this leather, to make that hole, there's already thread in there, so it'll cut it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my awl, or whatever this thing's called, ice pick, whatever. And I'm going to put a hole in there. And then just, see, there it is. Wow, that looks bad. No, that's fine, that's fine. There, and just poke it through both sides. There we go. All right, so I finished the wallet, and I'm gonna compare it to the old one and then talk about some flaws that I didn't like, and then just explain some stuff on it too. So, quick comparison. From here to the left, it's basically the same thing. So it has room for 3 cards, It has a little area here to put stuff in, same thing here. A little area to put stuff in. This is where you put your ID. I didn't use a piece of plastic. I didn't sew a piece of plastic. I think that just looks nicer. This is all Kangaroo leather, and it's stiff enough for this not to be a problem in the future. It has a little area too to put something in the back, same thing as this one right here. And this side I completely deleted, like I said I would. A snap button there would just, this is what happened basically. It stretches, and then just rips. So didn't do a snap button, got rid of this, and instead of having a pouch in the back, which I think would mess with just the look of the wallet, I put a little pouch here. So yeah, and then this is how it looks. I think this looks a lot nicer this way. And then money wise, I put a $2 bill in there, so when they do open it, they see that. I've always used a $2 bill. So when I was a kid, I mean, I don't believe in it, but as a good luck thing, a good luck charm. So here's the money area for this one. So in terms of flaws, this looks hideous to me. The problem is, I think what happened was I just probably went a little bit too high here when I started the holes. Should have measured a little bit better. And I try to correct it, but it still looks ugly. Besides that, I did, so this is a little bit closer than I thought it would be on both sides, but it's fine. You can see here where the spacing is. It's correct. The spacing, I mean, it could have gone a little bit wider just so they can fit more money in there if they wanted to. When this closes, it's not like, you know, it's not like too bulky just because it's the folds are too close, but it's fine. So you want that little space, that little extra space, those little holes, so that when you do close this, there's no spaces in between there. It's all together. It's not like misaligned. Yeah. You can see here what I was talking about. So here's a little L shape. So this stitching that you see goes through everything, all these layers completely. This stitching here is the only one that goes through everything here. And then once again, the other L stitching here. So you have to kind of stagger it. You have to you have to set it up so that when you do your stitching, you do it in like stages. So yeah. All right. Yeah. Any questions, suggestions? Let me know. All right. Bye.